Do you want to stay more focused on the right goals in your life, or even just figure out what the right goals are for you? Do you want clarity? Do you want better work-life balance? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Success Through Failure.
Welcome to the Success Through Failure podcast, the show that reveals failure as your path to success. You'll listen to intriguing interviews with some of the most successful people on the planet and learn how their failures became a launchpad for success and how yours can too. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, speaker, and personal coach, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. This is your host, Jim Harshaw, and today's another solo episode. And this is the time of year when a lot of people start thinking about doing a year in review. And I'm going to explain to you how to do that, but I also want you to understand that this is not the only time you should do a year in review. There's a lot of transitions that happen in life, whether you're thinking about a career transition or if you had a relationship transition, a divorce or a breakup, or any other kind of transition in your life, maybe some kind of medical issue or obstacle that you've had. But anytime there's a transition, or you want to have a transition, you want to have a change in your life, that's when you can do these. So this is not an episode just for, around the new year in December or first month or two of the new year. This is an episode that you can come back to at any point in the year, and you can really, I think, get a lot of benefit from doing this. So this is a really exciting time of year for me. I've got 4 young kids, and the magic of Christmas and the holidays is here, and it's just such a fun time of year. And then also we've got just some cool stuff planned as a family. We booked a trip to Mexico. And my wife and I love to travel. Allie and I actually met. We were leading adventure camping tours, and I just, adventure is just in my soul. It's in my blood. And we haven't gone on really any good adventures in a long time. So we met Lee. We were leading adventure camping tours, traveling all over the country. She and I were both fellow tour guides for this company, and it was just an awesome job. And then since then, like before that, I backpacked through Central America for 3 months by myself right after I graduated college, and did the obligatory trip to Europe, and then did a month traveling in Europe. And then after we got married, we went to Brazil for 15 days, had like our first 1 or 2 nights booked, and then the rest of it was just kind of, we're just winging it the rest of the trip, and it was awesome. And then we went to Croatia. Did some scuba diving there. Actually, I've scuba dived everywhere I've gone. We went to Brazil and then Croatia. Did Costa Rica after we had 1 child. We did Croatia with 1 baby in the belly, in Allie's belly. And then we did Costa Rica with Jessie, my oldest. My first child was 18 months old at the time. And that was our last overseas adventure. So this is our next grand adventure. So it's been, oh my goodness, I hate to say it, it's been like 11 and a half years really since we've been out of the country. But anyway, we booked a trip to Mexico for January. Super stoked about that. We're going to do an overnight and then go see the Nutcracker, stay in a hotel with the kids. They're going to love that. Don't tell them because they don't know yet. And we got some ski trips planned. So anyway, super excited just around some of the stuff that we have planned. And actually this episode, it's funny. So I had the idea to do this episode last year in January after I did my year in review. And I'm like, man, I need to do a podcast episode on this, but it's not the time to do it because people really want to hear about this, probably around this time of year. So I wrote this down, and it's been saved, and I've had some notes saved for a year on this, almost a year, and I'm finally getting to share this with you now. So I'm really excited. I've been excited actually for a long time to bring this to you. So like I said, the year in review, this is not something you just do at the end of the year or beginning of the year. This is anytime you go into a transition, or you want to have a transition, or you want to have some kind of change, you want to create a catalyst for change in your life. This is a great episode for that. And as you know, let's talk about the why. Like, why do you do this? And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, what's going to create success isn't actually doing the thing. It's actually hitting the pause button. It's not actually doing the thing. Sure, you certainly have to do the thing, But that's not what creates the success. Like, you have to do the thing. If you're in sales, you have to make the sales calls. If you want to lose weight, you got to work out and do the nutrition plan. If you want to fix your relationship, you really got to focus and have date nights and do the things that are going to, fix your relationship. You have to do the thing, but what's going to help you get clear on how to do the thing, when to do the thing, or that you actually have to do the thing, what the thing is the productive pause. And for those rookies out there, the productive pause is a short period of focused reflection around specific questions that leads to clarity of action and peace of mind. And I'll have that in the action plan for you. If you want to grab that definition, that'll be in the action plan. You can just go to jimharshawjr.com/action. So Lika is listening to this, and she's my trusty helper, and she creates these action plans. So again, the productive pause is a short period of focused reflection around specific questions that leads to clarity of action and peace of mind. And that's what this year in review is. That's what this catalyst is. It's a productive pause. And when you do this year in review, when you do this version of a productive pause, it allows you to live intentionally. So many people drift, right? They do the same thing today, and they're going to do the same thing tomorrow for no better reason than that's what they did yesterday, right? And when you drift through life, that's when you find yourself going, how did I get here? Or why am I not getting any closer to that vision of my life that I want to get to? It's because so many people drift, right? And you have to live intentionally. That is what this is going to help you do. If you want clarity, like, what is next for me? Like, what's the next step for me? How do we get unstuck? Maybe you feel like you're in a rut. How do you break through? This is going to bring you that clarity for that next step. If you feel like you need more consistency, if you feel like you want to be more focused, if you struggle with consistency, if you struggle with focus, then doing this is a must. Doing this activity is an absolute must for you because it's going to help you be more consistent. It's going to help you be more focused. You're going to know what the right things are to focus on. You're going to have clear action items as you go through this. And this is for evaluating any or all parts of your life. The way I really help people set goals is in 4 areas of their life: relationships, self, health, and wealth. And that self, everything's pretty self-explanatory there, except for maybe the self portion. And that's just 3 things: GIF, growth, impact, and fun. Growth, like personal growth, learning new skills and having new experiences. Impact is what kind of impact you want to have in the world. That's volunteering and philanthropy. And fun, what's just fun to do, right? Those are important areas to evaluate. So you should evaluate all areas. If you just want to really hone in on one, maybe it's your health or your relationships or your wealth or something like that, you can certainly do that. And what I recommend is setting aside at least 1 hour. You might be able to evaluate one area of your life in 1 hour, but you don't want to be rushed. You want to make sure you have ample time to really sink into this exercise because it really feels good going through this. Even if you got to review some bad stuff, which we all do, failures and setbacks and adversity and bad decisions, etc. That's, welcome to the club. That's par for the course. But you really want to give yourself enough time to really sink into this and not feel rushed as you go through this year in review, this productive pause. And so let's get really clear on how to do it, because I love, me, I love to get tactical. I love to get practical. I love to get actionable. So you actually go, okay, I know why I need to do this, and I know exactly how I need to do this. And that's my style of coaching, right? Every time I hang up the phone on a coaching call, it's, we have action items that are clear next steps for my clients. I help them get that clarity, help them get that focus, and I hold them accountable so they live intentionally and they're consistent. So that's what I'm going to give you in this episode today here too is, so first things first, put this on your calendar, right? Look ahead, put this on your calendar. It can be anytime you want, really. Like I said, this can be any time of year. If you're doing this like around the holidays, around the new year, it can be anytime in December. I like to do it after January 1st. I know a lot of people like to try to do this before December 31st. I like to do it once the new year started, because there's that kind of window right after New Year's where you can look back on the full year, right? Especially if you're like in business, or if you had a December 31st goal to hit a certain weight or to do a certain thing or to achieve a certain revenue goal, et cetera. You give yourself that full time through December 31st. But it's also crazy during the holidays, right? There's also a lot of junk food and that sort of thing. And you just kind of maybe feel crappy sometimes, you're off your routine, right? You're maybe staying up later or sleeping later or whatever the case might be, maybe just off your routine. So regardless, I like to wait until right after the new year and capture this in that first week of the new year. But again, whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be exactly the way I do it here. Next, think about your physical condition when you go into this. You want to put yourself into your peak performance state, right? If you were ever an athlete, if you ever competed in anything, whether it was sports or performance at anything, right? Music, instruments, performing arts, etc., you know you had to get into your peak performance state, right? At least if you haven't done that, you know that high performers need to do that. And you want to go into your peak performance state too. So you want to get a good night's sleep. You want to work out. This for me anyway. This really puts me in my peak performance state. I want to get a workout in. I want to maybe meditate in the morning. I want to hydrate before I do this. I want to make sure I do all these things that help me feel really good and have plenty of energy to pour into this. So working out, meditation, hydration, sleep, these are all keys for getting into that peak performance state for anything really, but especially for this year in review, this productive pause. Next, you want to find an environment where you're not distracted. Okay, so you want to focus on this environment. You want to be somewhere where you're not distracted. Maybe you go to a coffee shop. Maybe you can go to an office, go into your office on the weekend or stay late or something like that, or whatever it is, but find an environment where you're not going to be distracted. You might have to hunker down in your car, right, over your lunch break or something. But find an environment where you're not going to be distracted. Turn off your phone, minimize distractions, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Promise yourself that you're not going to check text messages or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. You're not going to allow yourself to get distracted. Maybe even put on some focus music, some background music, maybe some white noise if you need to. But really focus on that environment so you can really dive into this exercise. Now let's talk about the review itself, how to actually do and execute on your year in review. Okay, what do? Do you just sit there and start thinking about it? No. That's part of it maybe. but what you're going to do is you're going to need a key piece of this is a journal, right? Journaling. And so you can do this on a Word doc. You can do this in Evernote. You can do this in handwritten, however you want to do it's fine with me. Now, whenever I'm, certainly they say that handwriting in a journal is better. Really, that's that when they say it's better, it's because it's better for really making, when you write out your goals, that's really powerful to write them out in handwritten. When you're just kind of doing a year in review and just really pouring your thoughts out and you want to pour them out as fast as you can and just get them out of your head, I like to do it electronically. I have a Word doc that I use as my journal, and I just like to pour out my heart in that journal. And that way that's actually searchable too. So I can look back and so you're going to need your journal. And before you actually do the journaling, if you've kept a journal or if you have any notes or anything you can look back on that can help you sort of look back on your year, I want you to get access to that, right? And that might be a journal. That might be your goals. Gosh, I just told you not to go on social media and Facebook, but that's even an area where you can go back and maybe just look at your own personal profile and look at your Facebook posts throughout the year. You can see, it'll just kind of bring back memories and jog your memories of where you were, what you did, what you accomplished, what you failed at, right? All these things. And so you want to kind of do that review. So that's the first step, is to review any materials that you documented throughout your year. Okay, reviewing materials that you documented throughout your year. Shoot, you could even pull up your pictures on your phone if you have a bunch of pictures stored throughout the year, and just kind of a quick review. Again, don't get sucked into this. Don't try to look at every picture or try to read every word of your journal, but go back through and just sort of get a bead on where you were at different points of the year, right? Where you started, what the middle was like, and what the end is like where you're at. and just kind of refresh your memory of the entire year. You might have to scribble down or want to scribble down some notes, but that's where you're going to start. You're going to review. Okay, review materials like your journal, maybe some social media, maybe your phone. What's on your phone in terms of pictures and whatnot. So you're going to do that quick review of your year. You may want to do this in 10 or 15 minutes or less, right? Just to kind of put a box around that. And if you need to set a timer so you don't go over. But that's your first step. Here's your second step. You're going to journal. You're going to journal about 3 things. Number 1, what worked? What worked? What went well? What worked for that year? Number 2, what didn't work? Where did you fail? What didn't work? Where did you screw up? Where did you make mistakes? Number 3, what would you do differently? This is key that you do all 3 of these. What worked? What didn't work? And then what would you do differently? And this is going to put you in a place where, number 1, you start off with what worked, right? That's going to put you in a place of gratitude, a place of positivity. That's really where you want to start here. And then what didn't work, right? Now you can sort of objectively identify, what did I try and do that just didn't work, right? And then third, when you identify what you would have done differently, that puts you in an action mindset. Now I can say, okay, here's what I would have done differently. If I had a chance to do this all over again, here's what I would have done differently. And to give you a framework of how to think about, what worked, what didn't work, and what you do differently, you can use RSHW, relationships, self, health, and wealth. So in this second step, you can use relationships, self, health, and wealth as a framework, as a guide to help you through this these questions. So, and actually, one thing that I forgot to mention in terms of the review, you also, of course, if you did this exercise last year, you want to review that. You also want to review your goals. If you had any goals or resolutions that you set last year, of course, those would be part of the materials that you want to review for this year as well. So anyway, so step 1 is reviewing those materials. Step 2 is journaling. Now, step 3, what I'm going to coach you to do right now is a little different than I would coach you to do if you were a client. If you were a client, I would have you go through the entire Reveal Your Path process. This is identifying your core values, creating aligned goals, working through your environment of excellence, really structuring that, and then creating a systematic plan for follow through. If you do want to actually go through that entire process, which is a way more powerful way to do this, you can actually do that anytime on your own. If you just go to my website, go to jimharshawjr.com, click on coaching and training. There's a self-guided course. You can buy that. You can sign up for it today, tomorrow, anytime you want, and you'll go through this in a 4-week format of a sort of self-guided, do-it-yourself Reveal Your Path. You'll get all the worksheets. You'll get videos. You get writing exercises, etc., daily emails. So you can do that. But we're going to skip that. What I'm going to coach you to do, just because you're listening to this podcast right now, if you do become a client, then we can work deeper on that on so this interim steps here. But the next step for you is going to be to fill out the goal setting template for each of your goals: relationships, self, health, and wealth. Okay, relationships, self, health, and wealth. And in the action plan, I'm going to include also a link to a goal setting template for you. All right, so you can use that goal setting template. Will be helpful for you, and that's where you're going to really plan out your next year. And that goal setting template is going to have you identify not only the goal, but what are the obstacles that are going to be in front of you, and also who are the people or groups of people who can help you achieve these goals. Now, the next step, which most people miss out on, is actually putting this into place, making this real and actionable in your life. And I really go into depth with this with my clients. I help them really get clarity on how to turn these into like day-to-day activities. You can wake up, roll out of bed, put your feet on the floor, and actually take action on these. I really help people create what I call micro goals, which are monthly goals or quarterly goals. And once you do that with these larger goals, then then these things become real in your life and you feel the growth happening every day, every week, every month. You can feel the growth and the progress happening. So if you're not feeling progress, if you're not seeing progress, this will help you do that. Whenever you take these goals, turn them into micro goals and actually monitor those and have that plan, that system for follow through that I cover in the actual course in Reveal Your Path. So that is it. That is how you do your year in review. Again, you can do this anytime that you're either want to create a catalyst or you're facing a transition in your life, or you want to create a transition, create a change in your life. You get out of it. You want to get out of a rut or get unstuck. Come back to this episode because this is going to give you what you need. This is the system. This is the process for you to do your year in review. I cannot wait to do mine. If you want me to help you with yours, you can just shoot me an email and we can set up a time to have a session. And that's Jim Harshaw, just Jim at jimharshawjr.com is my email. If you want to have a session, if you want to have a proper paid coaching session where I fully invest in you, we can set aside a half an hour or an hour to do that. And I can really either walk you through this or you can do this on your own and then sign up for that time with me and I can help you break it down and look at taking the next steps for you. So good luck. If you found value from this, please share it. If you could just share it with one other person, shoot them a text and say, hey, just go check out episode number 174 of Success Through Failure. This is a quick post-recording edit. This is actually episode 175. 175, I intended to publish this a week earlier, but this is now episode 175. Link in the action plan to jimharshawjr.com/share. That'll just take you to a website or a page on my website where you can, there's like a one-click link and you just click that link and it'll share it on Facebook, Twitter, and or LinkedIn. You have a chance to edit the post if you want, or you can just submit it that way. But if you could share this, that would be awesome. If you want to leave a rating and review, that would be awesome. That helps more people find the podcast. That's how these things grow. I've got a growing audience of this, but my goodness, I hear about some of these huge podcasts out there that are just getting massive numbers of downloads. And then I hear people tell me how great they think this podcast is. And I just want to reach more people. And I hope you can help me reach more people with this. So if you got value from this, could you just maybe share this with one person or share it on social media? That's how these things grow. So thank you for that. And I look forward to talking to you on the next episode. And as always, until next time, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.